Hello and welcome to all of you. You're watching Tech 24. I'm Julia Seeger. There are more than 100 million artworks that are currently in storage worldwide, private collections that were never to be seen by anyone. But two art lovers from New York City have decided to change that by creating a social network. We'll tell you more about this new curating offering in just a few moments. And we'll introduce you to Winky, the educational robot made in France that will teach your kids the basics in terms of AI, robotics, and coding. The sad truth about art is that it's often bought by private collectors and stored away. But isn't the goal of art to be shared? Well, that's at least what two art enthusiasts from New York City believe. Jessica and Jessica Oralkan have founded Collecteurs, a digital museum that encourages private art owners to share their work so that everyone can enjoy it. More from New York City, I'm joined by Jessica Oralkan. Hello, Jessica.
Hi, Julia. Thanks for having me on the show.
So why did you decide to create Collecteurs?
Well, over 10 years ago, Evram and I started collecting. We were buying smaller works from artists that we really believed in. And over the course of a few years, as our collection grew, our wall space started filling up. We obviously had to move things to storage simply for lack of space. And it felt horrible to do this because these works had a story to tell, and in a way, we're silencing it. So over time, as we would go through our inventory sheet, which at that time was on Excel, we couldn't remember what certain works looked like, and that was really embarrassing. And we thought there had to be a better way. As collectors, at the same time that we're safeguarding these works, we have to disseminate their message to as many people as possible. And we knew that we needed to do something about this. We needed to create something not only to organize and keep track of things, but to tell their stories and to exhibit.
And that's actually when you decided to create a platform. How does it work, and what are some of its main features?
So Collecteurs is a professional-grade collection management software that we basically opened up to the rest of the world through a social network. So as collectors are able to upload works from their collection, they can create exhibitions, follow other collectors from around the world, and literally present the public face of their collection to the world. So we're enabling collectors to share their collections without ever having to open their own private museum, which, let's be honest, not everybody has the resources to do that. So every artwork that a collector uploads, there's privacy features on each one. So the collector can decide to keep the work private, meaning only visible to themselves. They can share it with the community, so people that are logged in, or they can share it with the public. So we have a lot of privacy features for people that are just a little hesitant about sharing. But that's what we're trying to encourage.
Now, how has technology helped you achieve your goal of sharing art, and what are the shortcomings of experiencing it online?
Well, I think art will never be the same experience online as it is in real life, but we're working in a way to somehow complement the offline experience with the online. So we are, number one, first and foremost, we're bringing these works that would never be seen. They wouldn't be seen in real life by these audiences. So we're bringing those online digitally sharing them with the world. We're also using different technologies like VR so that we can present these collections and these fairs. We're working with a lot of fairs, and we're broadcasting that to global audiences. So I think as we keep up with technology, as the technology develops, we'll all find interesting and new ways to share art and to look at art digitally.
Jessica Oralkan, the co-founder of Collecteurs, thank you for that.
Thank you, Julia. Thanks for having me.
And we're going to keep on talking about art and technology with our in-house experts, Dan and Jay Kettelkar. Welcome, Dan.
Hello, Julia.
Let's talk about digital art. It's quite different, but it started back in the 1980s with a program called Aaron. How does it work?
That's right. The program was developed by Harold Cohen, who was a pioneer of algorithmic art. So in the late 1970s and early 1980s, he initially used Fortran and C languages in order to develop a program that could create drawings. And then these drawings were put on paper using a robot, which was equipped with a pen. But it was in 1995 that he debuted a version of Aaron that was not only able to draw the forms, but also color them. We can see in this illustration behind us. And for this, he used a programming language called Lisp which is now a common language used for artificial intelligence programming. Now, since then, different artists have experimented with robots, with artificial intelligence, and with different sorts of programs. And perhaps it was best exemplified in an exhibition last year at the Grand Palais here in Paris, where you could see different art forms using, first of all, we saw a swarm of robots making a randomized art form. And here you can see a set of cameras and robots trying to draw these three stuffed animals. So this is
trying
a way
to recognize what the object
saying
is.
that how art is imitated by technology, or human art is imitated by technology.
Let's now go to Japan. The Mori Building Digital Art Museum is making a push for more immersive art experiences.
Well, yes, it's the first all-digital museum that has artworks that are made from projection mapping technology. So this is a very unique technology because it enhances the experience of the users. Now, in this particular museum, these images are triggered by motion sensors, and the images are projected on all the surfaces, which amounts to almost 100,000 square feet. And the projection mapping technology is done in a pre-production process. So these images are basically made to fit around a 3D model of a surface, be it a car or be it the walls of a building, like in this case. And then they are projected on these walls, and they neatly wrap around these walls, giving us or giving the visitors an appearance as if the paintings were done on the walls themselves. And this is a truly immersive experience, which we also see here in Paris at the Atelier des Lumières, where you have different expositions. And currently there's an exhibition on Vincent van Gogh, the famous Dutch painter, whose paintings, whose masterworks, they come to life because of this technology. All these images are projected on an area of around 3,300 square meters in Paris.
Right, I actually went with my daughter, and it's quite impressive indeed. Thank you so much, Dhananjay Kadalkar there. Now, moving on to a whole other story. The World Health Organization recently issued guidelines to limit the amount of time young children stare at screens, an issue that is often raised in the public discourse. But what about parents? In Europe, many are addicted to their phones, using them up to 6 hours a day. While we take a look at what impact that behavior has on the development of children.
Eyes glued to the screen. In France, adults spend on average 5 hours and 7 minutes in front of a screen every day, even when they're watching their kids at the playground.
I try to avoid it as much as possible when I'm here because you have to watch them.
It's the easiest way to lose track of where your child is. So yes, if I get an urgent call, I'll take it. But at the same time, I'll still try to keep an eye on my daughter.
That's what child psychologists recommend. Experts say that parents should be attentive and receptive when they're with their children, in order to set a good example for how to interact with the world.
Your children need you to be there. They need to see you to understand how you work. They learn a lot without us even noticing. The risk is that if we forget that, children will isolate themselves more and find it more difficult to connect with their peers.
In Germany, an adult will look at their phone on average 200 times a day. Authorities have launched campaigns to raise awareness of the problem.
Here's the campaign. Here it says, "Have you talked to your child yet today?" We want to encourage parents to spend more time with their kids than with their telephone.
In this creche, children are taught how to ask their parents to put the telephone away.
In this crafts workshop, the children are making little beds for smartphones. That way, they can say to their parents, "Mummy, Daddy, can you put your phone to bed? Talk to me instead. Listen to me."
Official guidelines from France's Academy of Medicine recommend that adults avoid using their telephone in front of children younger than 4.
And in Test 24, we're going to pursue the discussion about how to raise kids with technology, but this time as an enhancer of knowledge. Their motto is simple: robots are for life, and they have a mission to prepare children for tomorrow's world. Well, let's talk more about Winky by the French company Mainbot, Dan. It is quite cute.
Yes, it is an educational and a customizable robot that is aimed at children between the age of 5 and 12. The idea behind this project is to introduce children to programming and robotics. Now, this robot has a modular body. So it can be easily assembled in 24 steps. So by doing so, children can get introduced to what constitutes a robot. And as far as programming goes, it's very easy. This robot uses block-based visual language, which you will see in this app. So all you have to do is drag and drop these blocks, and you start or run the program. You can see I can make its head turn.
And it reacts to it.
Yeah, it reacts to it. So this is it's a very easy way to learn programming. It also uses an element of artificial intelligence. So the more it interacts with the environment and the people, it evolves. The personality of this robot evolves.
As it learns more information.
Yes, absolutely. And you can program multiple applications on the robot itself, turn it into an alarm clock. You can have many games installed on this robot as well. This robot will be available on the crowdfunding platform ulul.com until 14 June. And on this platform, this robot will cost 99 euros. And when it's ready to be shipped in November, the cost will be 199 euros.
Well, I can now see how it's more exciting for kids to learn with this robot, Winky. Thank you so much, Dhananjay Kadalkar there. That brings us to the end of this week's edition of Tech 24. But you can watch it again on our website, france24.com. See you next time.